Hey YouTube, I wanted to do a short video on today's topic of the news vendor problem. So it's kind of the first major problem that we've addressed as like classic problem. This is repeated in a lot of different places. But the news vendor problem is relatively simple with one key metric that we're going to end up looking into called the news vendor ratio, which is essentially how much of a quantity you want to buy. So first, let's look at the problem in itself. So it's a simple inventory optimization problem, where the basics of the problem is the news vendor wants to buy newspapers from a publisher each morning for a cost of $C and sell them throughout the day for a cost of $R. When he buys them in the morning, he doesn't know the demand, but he knows the probability distribution of the demand. So that, let's say the demand is 20, he knows that the mean demand is 20 with a standard deviation of 5 on each side. But I guess the issue with the inventory in this problem is if he runs out of papers, he can't buy any more papers. But there's kind of this characteristic of if he has papers left over, he may be able to sell them for a price less than C dollars that he paid for them, so he's not completely losing everything he paid for them. So again, the simple question is, how many papers should this guy buy in the morning? So there are a couple key characteristics to find when you're looking at any one of these news vendor problems. First is CU, which is the cost of being 1 unit short. So if you have a supply of 19 and the demand is 20, how much are you going to lose that you could have earned if you'd had that one extra unit? So then CO, the cost of having an extra unsold unit in your inventory. So, oops, I bought 21 units when the demand was 20. How much do I no longer have? Such as if the cost of the newspaper was $5 and I earned $7 for selling the paper, and there was no way to resell the paper in the end, I would be earning $2 if I had that extra unit, but I'd be losing $5 if I was over a unit. Then small f is the probability density function, while big F is the probability the cumulative density function. So the probability density function will look something like that, while the cumulative will look something like that. And then Q is the number of units stocked. Q star is the optimal unit stocked. And the news vendor ratio is CU over CU plus CO. So essentially, the big things to know are what's on the next page. So if the cost of being under a unit short is significantly greater than the cost of being overstocked, you will buy more than the mean. If the cost of being over a unit is a lot greater than the cost of being undersold, then you will buy less than the mean. But if the costs are equal, so that would be 1 over 1 plus 1, which would be 50. So since you would essentially order the mean demand. So it's essentially helping you stock, and how it's a view on how much risk you're willing to put into buying extra inventory that may not be sold. If you lose a lot of money on unsold inventory, you're not gonna oversupply the stock, versus if you gain a lot of money on that extra sale, you're way more likely to oversupply what's being sold in the stock. So let's a quick look at any other stuff that went on this week. So supply chain, engineering, warehouse, and distribution. We had our first test, and then the second class of the week was going over the projects and what we've been looking at. Then Operations Research 1 was our first test, also over the simplex algorithm, duality, and a intro to path solving. New Operations Research 2, we kind of wrapped up the Newsvendor problem and moved on to different probability distributions. Entrepreneurial finance and private equity, we looked at options. School overall has a fall break this week, so I've had some extra time to catch up on stuff. Then job recruitment season, I had my first Big Four interview, the KPMG interview. It was kind of different from what I expected. No case interview, so it was a lot more just behavioral. And then today I had a interview with Amazon, looking at their robotics division, which it wasn't much of an interview. It was more like talking to a recruiter, seeing if they actually want to have me interview with a hiring manager. We'll see where that goes. Overall, it was good. But the Newsvendor problem is a pretty simple problem in which essentially you try and find the Newsvendor ratio and then answer various questions once you have acquired the Newsvendor ratio. Thanks. Have a good one. Enjoy.